Meet Jennifer and Marcus. They're both 34. She's a dental hygienist making $62,000 a year. He's an IT support specialist, pulling in $71,000. Combined household income, $133,000. Solidly middle class. They've got 2 kids, a 3-bedroom house in the suburbs, 2 car payments, and about $47,000 spread across 6 credit cards. Every month, they're sending out minimum payments, $280 here, $190 there, $340 to another card. Different due dates, different interest rates, 18.9%, 22.4%, 24.9%. It's exhausting just keeping track of it all. Then one day, an email lands in Marcus's inbox. Congratulations, you're pre-approved for a debt consolidation loan. 1 simple payment, lower interest rate. Get your life back. It feels like a lifeline. They apply. They're approved for a $50,000 loan at 11% interest. They pay off all 6 cards. Suddenly, instead of juggling 6 payments totaling around $1,200 a month, they've got 1 clean payment of $1,087. It feels manageable. It feels like relief. Does this sound like you or someone you know? Because here's what Jennifer and Marcus don't know yet. They just walked into one of the most quietly devastating financial traps in America, the debt consolidation trap. If you've ever felt like you make good money but still can't get ahead, if you've ever looked at consolidation as your way out, hit that like button and subscribe right now. This one's going to make a lot click into place. Let me be clear up front. Jennifer and Marcus did everything they were told to do. They didn't take lavish vacations. They didn't buy designer clothes or lease luxury cars. They bought a modest home. They financed reliable vehicles. They put their kids in decent daycare so they could both work. The credit card debt? It didn't come from recklessness. It came from normal life. A $4,200 emergency room visit when their daughter broke her arm. Insurance covered most of it, but the deductible hit the visa. The HVAC system died in July. $6,800 on the MasterCard. Tires, car repairs, back-to-school shopping, Christmas gifts for extended family, a laptop for Marcus's work-from-home setup. Little by little, the balances grew. And here's the thing. They're not alone. According to the Federal Reserve, the average American household with credit card debt carries a balance of around $7,876 per card. But that number hides the reality, because among households that revolve balances month to month, the real average is closer to $17,000 to $20,000 total. Millions of families are in the exact same spot. So when that debt consolidation offer shows up, it doesn't feel predatory. It feels like help. It feels like someone finally throwing you a rope. Here's the core revelation. The thing almost nobody tells you. Debt consolidation doesn't solve a debt problem. It solves a payment problem. And that difference? That's everything. See, Jennifer and Marcus's real issue wasn't that they had 6 different payments. Their real issue was that they were spending more than they earned. Month after month, year after year. The debt was a symptom. Consolidation treats the symptom. It makes you feel better. But the disease? Still there. Let me show you the math that the consolidation companies definitely don't show you. Before consolidation, $47,000 in credit card debt. If they kept paying $1,200 a month and didn't add another dollar to the cards, they'd be debt-free in about 4.5 years and pay roughly $18,000 in interest. After consolidation, $50,000 loan at 11% for 5 years. Monthly payment, $1,087. Sounds better, right? Lower payment, lower rate. But here's what happens in real life. Within 3 months of consolidating, Jennifer and Marcus have $3,400 in new credit card debt. Not because they're irresponsible, because life kept happening. The dishwasher broke. Their son needed braces. The dog got sick. And now, instead of putting those expenses on cards that were maxed out, forcing them to actually deal with it, they had room again. The cards were paid off. The limits were available. It felt safe to use them. Just this once. Just until we catch up. This is the core mechanism of the trap. and it's devastatingly common. A study by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that within 5 years of consolidating debt, 70% of borrowers had racked up the same or more debt than they started with. 7 out of 10. So now Jennifer and Marcus are paying $1,087 a month on the consolidation loan. Plus, they're back to juggling credit card payments. They've got more total debt than before. And they've used up their one-time fix. Banks aren't going to give them another consolidation loan when they're already in one. They're trapped. And here's the cruel irony. They feel like failures. They think, we had our chance, we blew it, we must just be bad with money. But that's not what happened. What happened is, they were sold a product that was designed to feel like a solution but was actually just rearranging deck chairs. Nobody sat them down and said, before you consolidate, we need to fix why you got into debt in the first place. Let's talk about why that keeps happening. The lifestyle creep nobody talks about. Here's what Jennifer and Marcus didn't realize. Their lifestyle had quietly inflated to consume every dollar they made. When Marcus got his last raise, $6,000 more a year, they didn't save it. They upgraded their internet plan, added another streaming service, started ordering groceries delivered instead of shopping themselves, and bought slightly nicer birthday gifts. Nothing extravagant, just a little more comfortable. The average American household spends about 5 to 7% more each year than the year before, even when income only rises 2 to 3%. That gap? That's where debt grows. And debt consolidation doesn't address that gap. It just gives you a cleaner-looking version of the same problem. The interest rate illusion. Let's go deeper on the numbers, because this is where the trap gets really insidious. Yes, 11% is lower than 22%. That's true. But here's what they don't tell you. Credit card debt is revolving. As you pay it down, your minimum payment drops. If Jennifer and Marcus had buckled down, cut expenses, and attacked the highest interest card first while paying minimums on the others, the classic debt avalanche method, they could have knocked out that 24.9% card in about 14 months. Once that card was gone, they could have rolled that payment into the next highest card. Momentum builds. The finish line gets closer. But the consolidation loan? That's installment debt. The payment stays the same for 5 years, no matter what. There's no snowball, no momentum, no psychological wins. Just the same $1,087 every single month for 60 months. And psychologically, that's exhausting. There's no visible progress. It feels like you're treading water. The hidden costs. Here's another thing nobody mentions. Debt consolidation loans often come with fees. Origination fees typically 1% to 5% of the loan amount. So on a $50,000 loan, that could be $500 to $2,000. $500 right off the top. Sometimes they roll that into the loan itself. So you're borrowing $52,000 to pay off $50,000 in debt. Some loans have prepayment penalties. If you try to pay it off early, you get charged. And if you're working with a debt consolidation company instead of getting a loan directly from a bank, they often charge monthly fees anywhere from $30 to $100 for managing your debt. Over 5 years, that's $1,800 to $6,000 just in fees. None of this gets advertised. It's in the fine print. The real kicker. You're training yourself to lean on debt. Here's the most dangerous long-term effect of consolidation without behavior change. You learn that when things get tight, when debt piles up, there's always a way to make it feel better without actually changing anything. Consolidate. Refinance. Transfer balances to a 0% intro APR card. Get a home equity line of credit. Each one feels like relief. Each one is just kicking the can down the road. And eventually, you run out of road. Jennifer and Marcus are 34. If they keep this pattern going, by the time they're 50, they'll have consolidated 3, maybe 4 times. They'll have borrowed against their home. They'll be making decent money, probably north of $180,000 combined by then, and they'll still be living paycheck to paycheck. I see this all the time. People in their 50 seconds and 60 seconds, good incomes, decades of work behind them, and they have no margin, no savings, no flexibility. Because every raise, every bonus, every windfall got absorbed into just managing the debt. That's the trap. Not the 11% interest rate. Not the single monthly payment. The trap is believing that rearranging your debt is the same thing as eliminating it. All right. So if debt consolidation isn't the answer, what is? I'm going to give you the real path out. It's not sexy. It's not a hack. But it works. Step 1. Stop the bleeding. Before you consolidate anything, you have to stop adding to the debt. Period. This means a hard, honest look at your spending. Not a judgmental one, a factual one. Pull up the last 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Categorize every expense. Rent, groceries, insurance, gas, subscriptions, eating out, shopping, kid stuff, everything. You're looking for the gap. The delta between what's coming in and what's going out. For most people, that gap is somewhere between $300 and $800 a month. That's how much more they're spending than they earn. That's why the debt keeps growing. You have to close that gap. And you have 2 levers. Earn more or spend less. Earning more is great side hustle. Ask for a raise. Switch jobs. Do it if you can. But it takes time. And time is what you don't have when you're drowning. Spending less is faster. Step 2. Cut the big 3 first. Most people try to save money by cutting lattes and meal kits. That's fine, but it's rounding errors. The big 3 expenses for most households are housing, mortgage or rent, transportation, car payments, insurance, gas, food, groceries, and eating out. These 3 categories typically eat up 60–70% of take-home pay. If you can cut any of these by even 10–15%, you've just freed up serious cash. Can you downsize your home? Move to a less expensive area? Get a roommate? Can you sell 1 car and become a 1-car household? Can you sell the financed car and buy a $7,000 used one in cash? Can you cut your grocery bill by meal planning, buying store brands, and cutting back on convenience foods? I know these aren't fun questions, but they're real ones. Jennifer and Marcus were paying $2,100 a month for their mortgage, $720 a month combined for 2 car payments, and about $950 a month on food. If they sold 1 car and bought a beater for $6,000 cash, they'd free up $360 a month. If they cut their food spending by 20%, totally doable with some planning, that's another $190. That's $550 a month. That's the gap. That's how you stop the bleeding. Step 3. Build a tiny emergency buffer. Once you've stopped adding to the debt, your next goal is to scrape together $1,000 to $2,000 in a savings account. This isn't a full emergency fund. This is a buffer, so that the next time the dog gets sick or the tire goes flat, you're not reflexively reaching for the credit card. Sell stuff. Work overtime. Skip a few non-essentials. Get that buffer in place as fast as you can. Step 4. Attack the debt with focus. Now you're ready to actually pay off the debt. 2 methods work. Debt avalanche. List your debts by interest rate, highest to lowest. Pay minimums on everything, and throw every extra dollar at the highest rate debt. Mathematically optimal, saves the most on interest. Debt snowball. List your debts by balance, smallest to largest. Pay minimums on everything, and throw every extra dollar at the smallest debt. Once it's gone, roll that payment into the next one. Psychologically powerful. Gives you quick wins. Pick one. Stick with it. Don't overthink it. For Jennifer and Marcus, if they cut expenses, stopped adding to the cards, and put $1,200 a month toward debt using the avalanche method, they'd be completely debt-free in about 4 years. No consolidation loan, no fees, just focus. Step 5. Build margin, not lifestyle. Here's the countercultural part, the part that almost nobody talks about. Once you're out of debt, don't inflate your lifestyle. This is so hard, because you've been grinding for years. You've been saying no to things, and now, finally, you have breathing room. The temptation is to reward yourself. New car, nicer house, better vacations. Don't. Instead, Take that $1,200 a month you were putting toward debt and split it. $600 to a fully funded emergency fund, 3 to 6 months of expenses, $300 to retirement accounts, $300 to sinking funds for future expenses, car replacement, home repairs, vacations. Live like you're still paying off debt, but now you're paying your future self. This is how you build real wealth. This is how you get off the treadmill. Because here's the truth. Security doesn't come from a higher income. It comes from margin. Margin is the space between what you earn and what you spend. The bigger that margin, the more options you have, the more resilient you are, the less afraid you are. That's the real goal. Let me leave you with this. Debt consolidation companies market themselves as offering freedom and peace of mind. And I get it psychologically. One payment feels simpler than 6. But real freedom isn't a simpler payment plan. Real freedom is waking up and knowing that if you lost your job tomorrow, you'd be okay for 6 months. Real freedom is your kid needing braces and you paying cash without even flinching. Real freedom is being able to say no to a job you hate, or yes to an opportunity that pays less but fills you up because you're not chained to a paycheck. That's what's on the other side of this. Not perfection, not some Instagram-worthy life. Just options, flexibility, the ability to breathe. Jennifer and Marcus, they're real people. By the way, names changed. They're on that path now. It took them about 6 months to really accept that consolidation wasn't the answer. Another year to stop the bleeding and build their buffer. And now, 3 years in, they've paid off $31,000 of their debt. They've got $8,000 in savings. And for the first time in their adult lives, they're not afraid of the mail. They didn't need a loan. They needed a plan. And the discipline to stick with it. You don't need to be rescued. You need to be empowered. And that starts with seeing the trap for what it is. If this video shifted how you see your money, drop a comment with the one financial rule you're ready to break. Maybe it's, I need a new car every few years. Maybe it's, I have to keep up with my friends. Maybe it's, debt consolidation is the smart move. Whatever it is, put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the next one might be the one that changes everything for you. I'm Sam. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.